Hi guys, Matt Collins here from Beausoleil. Today I want to show you how to set up and use a marker rod. Marker rods are an essential part of my carp fishing. They enable me to fish accurately wherever I go. Let's get into it now. For a marker rod, ideally you want a rod with a nice stiff crisp action. The next most important thing is the reel. I've got an absolutely ancient Shimano LC here. The really important thing with your marker rod setup is that you must use braid. So we've got some 50-pound braid on this spool here. Braid's really important for your marker rod because you must have something without any stretch. Now I could set this up with just the braid. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use a leader. I'm going to use a mono leader. One of the problems with using a marker float is that it's very easy for the marker float to tangle and not bob up. So the next step, I'm going to connect a mono leader to the braid. In this case I'm using Sunset Amnesia in 30 pounds. Very cheap, low memory. It's quite thick, this stuff, but you want that for the anti-tangle properties. To connect it to the braid, I'm going to use what's called a mahin knot. So to tie the mahin, we're just going to start with a simple overhand knot, and we take our braid, pass this through the kind of same direction that the main piece of mono there exits that loop. And give yourself plenty to work with here. I'm going to pull through 20 centimeters, and then we're going to whip 10 times down, and then we pinch it there, and we're going to whip 10 times back. 10. Let the tag end of the braid come up through the loop now and exit, so that those two bits of braid are exiting exactly the same angle. Now we take the mono tag end and we pull that tight. You might want to put it between your teeth here. Then take the braid and we pull. You want to kind of manage this. There we go. That's going to go down real nice. You can see how that started to cinch up really clean. Once we're in position, wet it. There we go. That's at least 20-25 pound of force on there. So that's what it should look like, tightened down. Two tag ends, maybe leave about a mil of tag, something like that, and then take the braid. You want to cut that pretty tight as well. You don't want a nasty little fluffy tag. You've got to cinch this down fully before you cut the tags, otherwise it's just going to come undone so easily. That's the finished knot. The reason why I like this knot is that you can see it's tapered, so the knot's going to be passing through the rings in that direction, and it grows. Basically it's narrower here, it's fatter here, and it just goes through the rings better. Right, once we're happy with the knot, we need to measure off the length of mono that we want. So my arms are about 1.5 meters, so 1.5, 9, that'll do. Now all we've got to do is wind that onto the reel. Right, we're going to need a few bits and pieces here. Most importantly, going to need a marker float. Next we need some kind of run rig kit. This is the Fox one. You've got a buffer bead, run rig and a clip. Then we need a lead. You can buy dedicated marker leads, but to be honest, I've never bothered. All you need is a regular lead for this work. I've got a distance lead here, another great choice, little dumpy pair. So first job, we need to connect the run rig to the quick link, and we take our lead and connect that as well. You can put a silicone sleeve around there. So we're going to pass the tag end of our mono leader through the ring, then take a buffer bead from the small end to the fat end, put the buffer bead on like that, and we're going to take the swivel on our marker float We're just going to do a very simple blood knot. Blood knots work great in heavy mono like this. So 1, 2, 3, that's all we need. Through the loop there, wet it up, pull that down, cinch that down nice, then we can trim the tag end. Now we take the buffer bead, put the buffer bead over the swivel, don't push it on too far, you don't want to expose that knot. The buffer bead is there to protect that knot, so the buffer bead is there to take the shock of the lead as it slides down like that. So I put 9 meters of mono here as a leader. You might think that that's well over the top. If I wanted to create a specific long range setup for on a shallow lake, I could take at least 3 meters off the length of that leader. It would be easier to cast for marker and further out. If I have that leader too short, it could cause me problems when I'm fishing on deeper waters, because I want to be able to that float to pop up all the way. I don't want the marker knot, which is 9 meters back, interfering when I pop up the float. That's going to muck things up. So it's a compromise at the end of the day. Right, let me show you why we've taken the time and trouble to put a mono leader on here. If we'd have just had the braid go straight down to the lead like that, what happens is that this twists up. Braid is an absolute terror for this. It'll twist in flight, lock like that, and then the marker float won't pop up, and it's a real pain. Now, one of the reasons why I've used mono is that it just wants to untangle itself. It's got that stiffness, it's got that force that always wants to straighten out that ring, so even if it does tangle a bit, it's always trying to untangle itself. Afternoon. Okay, marker rod's ready to go. First thing we've got to do is dip the spool to wet the braid. Very important that to avoid wind knots. Open the bail arm. Let's give the lead a little lift there to make sure that we're not wrapped around the tip. Choose a far horizon marker. And feel the lead down. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to drop the rod tip and low to the surface of the water. I'm going to draw the float back. Now I've just come on, tip's just starting to jag there a bit, just come on to the back of the spot. I turn and face the lake, point the rod at the spot, turn the handle until the float is down, pulled tight against the lead, flick onto bait runner, and then pop her up. There we go, popped up at 5 foot plus 6 or so inches for the length of the marker stem, 5.5 foot there at the back of the spot. If I want to fish the back of that spot, put it in the clip, wrap it around some distance sticks, transfer that onto my fishing rod, and bam, I'm fishing on the back of that spot. Let's draw back a bit further and find the front of that spot. I'm drawing this along, it's really starting to jag now. It's a very clean spot, this, where it's just been baited and fished and baited and fished, and it's the fish that clean it. What you're looking for when you're feature finding is ideally a spot that the fish are keeping clean. Now just, there we go, I've just gone from jag, 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 jag to the edge of the silt. Pointing the rod back at the spot, bait runner off, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Absolutely flat, that spot. I probably dragged that back a good 4 meters, maybe even 5 meters, so it's a massive spot. So now I've got a rough idea of the front of the spot, the back of the spot. If I do a cast to the left and then a cast to the right, we'll start to see how the spot evolves and how wide it is. Just coming onto the back of the spot there. So if I pop that up on the back of the spot, left to right, that's a good meter to the right. I would say that the distance is about the same. So we've certainly got some room for error to the right. I keep on drawing that back. Lovely and clean. Always keep the rod low to the water surface when you're doing this. Gives you much better feel of the lead. Let's put a cast to the left. That's already on the back of the spot. That's a good 2 meters to the left of my first cast, 3 meters to the left of the second cast. So that spot width wise is at least 3 meters wide. So just with 3 casts, I know that I've got a spot that I can target, which is 12 square meters. Absolutely huge. So that's all very well when you're trying to find a nice big hard open water gravel spot. Let's try and find something a bit more subtle. Right, nice little soft thud that. That was about 5 meters to the right of the first cast that I made. I'm just drawing that back. We've got no jag at all. It's not thick and gloopy. That's a nice area of firm, clean silt. Just a fraction of gravel coming through it there. Yeah. So that's a nice kind of transition zone basically. So that's a nice firm clean gravel spot first of all. Then we found some nice firm silt. Let's find something that's really horrible and you don't want to fish in. Right, very soft on the drop that. And you see how heavy the tip is there. Dragging a lot. Much softer silt, much thicker silt here. Heavy, heavy, heavy. It kind of grips and then slides. You get this kind of stop-go effect to it. So there we go. Simple piece of kit. Set it up right and you'll have no problems whatsoever. Once you've got your information, your left and right and your distances that you can transfer to distance sticks, transfer it onto your fishing rod, and then when you want to bait up, just put your marker out again, hit that clip, pop it up, bait up to that, wind it in, cast your fishing rod out, and then you won't ever hook up your marker. Hope you found those tips on how to set up a marker rod useful. If you've got any questions, do leave a comment.